So we are going to take a little trip today, and I was inspired to give you guys a more detailed explanation of why we finally left the States. So here you go. RWVL77. That should be here in 1 minute. So maybe we'll start when we get in there, but I'm thinking I could at least give you guys the first reason. And we'll say the first reason. We'll start with the most in-depth. Maybe we shouldn't, but we're going to. I'll say the first reason is the lack of a real future for not only ourselves, but our children that I'm responsible for. And I want to make sure that they have the best future. And I think I'm not the only one who feels that that's not going to be possible in the States. So, Dande usa. Okay, so basically, so we'll just start with that. The future is not bright for the kids. What they have to look forward to, the debt that they're going to have to pay for the many wars that we have been funding, provoking, whatever you want to call it. So that's one thing. It's like when you realize that America is basically a falling empire, that the dollar is failing, which means that it just means you're going to have to work harder. The dollar failing means that there's going to be this thing that's a hidden tax that the average American workers have to pay for. Now, if you're one of these corporation, type of people and you're kind of part of the lobby, then obviously that impact doesn't affect you as much. But the average working person is going to be paying for these wars, and not only that, their children and probably their children's children will be feeling the effects of the monetary decisions and just basically the decisions that the people in power in America have been making. And not just Obama, not just Trump, not just Biden. This has been going downhill for quite a while, right? So that would be, I would say, I'm going to just start that as number one. Future for the kids isn't bright. Education system sucks. We're just going to throw that in with the future because a nation that is uneducated and not taught correctly, that just can't lead to productivity, which is what we're experiencing now. Productivity is everybody looking down at their phone trying to figure out what's going on with Diddy, and we can't succeed like that as a country. So the future, but I'm going to throw in the future of even myself as an insurance agent, dealing with people who thought they were going to be retiring, say, in the next 5 to 10 years, and we're going over their numbers and what their actual, income in the future is looking like. That percentage rate ain't what they thought it was going to be, or maybe they thought they was going to be making more by now when they started paying into this. I'm not really sure what they thought, but I've run into so many people who are like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't know that I was only going to be getting, 40% of what I'm used to getting, and I still have this outrageous, loan for a house, and it's not going to be paid off by the time I want to retire. So it was like the future for adults as well. What I'm seeing happening right now is just getting worse. The more you age and the more because as you age, you start limiting yourself to, what you can do to get yourself out of a bind. When you're young and you can move around and you can do stuff, you can go and rake a yard if you need some money, or, you can do all types of little stuff when you're young and you got the energy and you got the the means to do it. But as you get older, you got to start thinking about, like, okay, well, I might not be a spring chicken forever, so I don't want to have to be forced into work just to eat and stuff like that. So going to tie that in. My future as far as retirement, which is a joke, right? And my children's future, which is working harder for the same dollars, or maybe it's going to be something different. But either way, I feel like it's going to be a lot of work because we're already working harder. So it's going to be a lot of work. And it's just not looking good for the kids. The debts that they're going to have to pay back from the decisions that, you know, have been made over the past 40 years, 30, 40 years, it's just not looking good. All right, so violence. So there's definitely been an uptick of violence and like mass shootings. And as much as I hate going to Walmart, we all know when you're in a bind and when you're trying to make your dollar stretch the most, Walmart is what you do, right? So Walmart, I get scared going into Walmart because you can kind of like just buy your guns in there and stuff, and it's just always weird people. You gotta watch them. Anybody with, looking weird, acting weird, because they be shooting places up. You can't just feel like, okay, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, go to the mall, or wherever you're trying to go, without that thought in the back of your mind, like, I might not make it home because of some crazy person on pharmaceuticals started having suicidal and homicidal thoughts. So the violence that also pushed me and the family out to live like in the woods. We'll just call it what it is, because in the inner city the violence is just so much worse than if you go out to the middle of nowhere. So yeah, violence is definitely up there. We're gonna call that number 2. Violence is off the charts in the USA. Big city, even small towns are starting to experience it now. It's starting to creep out of the cities. Because honestly, most people in the cities just really got it like that. I mean, everybody's just like still kind of like struggling to make it happen. So we'll say number 2 is the violence. I really don't have to speak on that. I have a spousa husband who is melanated, and the USA really just don't take kindly to melanated people. If you look at the statistics on, the population that is being locked up, and just, I ain't gotta go into all of that. It's just the violence and being that, okay, maybe violence won't partake me, we're not gonna get into all the missing women and stuff like that, but even just like the gun violence, I worry about my husband. When we lived in Detroit, Michigan, it was scary to think about my husband going to the store, like the corner store, or, us going to just get some french fries or something. It's like, no, they will sit up here and literally rob you, regardless if you have anything or whatever. They rob people standing at the bus stop. That's a nice hearse. So anyway, that was a nice hearse. Speaking of violence, I just thought it was, I guess I should have got that. But yeah, so it's one thing, like, having my husband, having to deal with that. But while we're in Detroit, we actually have a son. And that really, like, I guess I'll say it struck a fear in me. Because even though I worry about my husband, I know that he's grown. He can, pretty much handle himself, but there's only so much I can do. He still has to get out and be in the world and stuff. So having a son and being responsible for a young man that's melanated, I was just like, I don't know. I just had a little bit of terror and fright. And of course, I didn't know he was a boy until he got here. So it wasn't much like time for mental preparation. Like, oh, you're having a boy, don't worry, it's gonna be trumpet, whatever. No, it was like, oh my gosh, it's a boy. Oh my gosh, I never had one of these before. Oh my gosh. And then you just kind of look at things a little different. immediately knew, like, I was gonna have to worry about them in the States. So we'll just stop there. But the violence, yeah, definitely. Okay, so number three would be the culture. We'll call it like the independence culture, where everyone is out for themselves. And I understand it, because to a certain extent they've stretched everyone so thin that you have to be out for yourself because you have to survive, right? You're forced to be about me, and I need more at any cost, because that's the situation you're in is pretty much dire for a lot of people. So that culture that has been bred in the USA, it has produced a citizenry that doesn't value family the way I value family. Family is over everything for me. Like honestly, I was watching this documentary, and there was a Spanish guy who got deported from the USA. Like, they just came to his house and picked him up. I guess it was when one of the presidents, maybe Trump or whoever, came in and said that, the people can start getting picked up and deported. So, you got this guy, he gets deported, and his wife and kids are still in the USA. And granted, I understand they probably got a life going on. Maybe mom's got a job and the kids are in school. But if hubby gets deported, then we deported. I mean, that's just something simple to me. That's not a question. That's just like, oh, we gotta go to Turkey. Like, I don't care, whatever. Like, if that's where you got to go and you can't stay here, I can't stay here. I'm not staying here without you. What is that? So, for me, family is everything, over everything. And you stick together and you work together at all costs, because when you have that family unit, you can accomplish anything. Like, you can accomplish anything when you have enough people in your corner that have your back. And it's not with ill intentions. It's not with ulterior motives. It's not because, I think I'm about to, eat off this person and take advantage of them. No, like, when you got a really good, solid family, then you want the best for them at all costs. So the culture, and I have that as number 3, but that is like very important to me, because family is everything. And I feel like in America, the United States of America, that's what you want to call it, family is not first. Family is not important. Everything else is first. Like, it's fame or money, or it's really the same, because you want the fame because you want the money, because you want the stuff. You want to be able to live a good life. You don't want to be on the street. You don't want to be forced to think about being homeless, or keeping up with those bills that keep coming on around. So yeah, the culture is just, it trickles down to other things. But the fact that the other thing, like a commercial I watched, and this is when I still had my older daughters living with us, it was like a credit reporting commercial, and they were like, mom is, I don't know, she's like juicing something, of course, probably trying to be healthy for the rest of the family, right? So mom's juicing something, and it's loud, and like these, people, they look like they're maybe 19, 20 years old. I don't know. They don't look that old, but they're in the house, and they're like, oh, it's time to get your own apartment, get your credit together, and, get on this website so you can get your credit together and get your own house and your own car and your own this and your own that. And just that culture alone, and those commercials, and it's just like pushing this agenda that go get in your own debt at any cost. they don't show you or tell you all the things in between that, okay, you go and you create this family, but you're about to spend the rest of your life basically just trying to feed them and keep them warm and safe, and you're not really going to see them that much because you're going to be out here doing that. So culture, we'll leave that as culture. So that was number 3, and we'll say number 4, which kind of follows that. Like I said, the not being together, there's like that's what the family, but I'll say anxiety. There is a population, I know it kind of ties into culture, but it also is a personal thing. Having constant anxiety and being surrounded by people that are anxious, that are living on the edge, on the line, teetering on homelessness, hunger, not able to be able to afford, the things that they need, it kind of keeps everybody in a constant state of panic a little bit. So, the anxiety that the tension is real, especially when you go to the city, and it's before you even get out your car. Like, I lived in this wooded area where it took me at least, any direction I went to, it would be at least 20 minutes to get to civilization. So I'm like on this long road, maybe just 2 lanes, one lane going, one way and one going the other. So very quiet, you're not really running into people cutting you off and doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But the moment you get into the rest of civilization, you got everybody in a rush to get to work because, oh God, if they're late, they're gonna lose their job, and if they lose this job, then that's the house. So everybody's just like on the edge, and living in a community. And even if you don't live there, in order to live wherever you are living, you still might have to go out into these communities, and you don't know how often that is. You don't know if that's going to be, every day, 5 days a week, once a week, twice a week. But either way, you're going to find yourself out here amongst people that are on the edge. Perfect example here. What we'll talk about is fiat. Fiat. U.S. dollars, fiat money. One of the most important reasons why we had to leave the United States as soon as we did. I mean, if it was up to me, I would have been gone. But I got a whole family that we got to take into consideration, and we got planning and all of these things to do. But what I noticed years ago is that the dollar is failing. Why? Because it's not really currency. It doesn't hold a stored value. It does not hold a stored value. So you might have $100,000 today, but that might not be $100,000 tomorrow. That might be $92,000 tomorrow. And a week from now, it might just be $90,000. I mean, that's the way that this fiat money works. So number 2, I would say, is, I want to call that number 1 because it really is number 1. But we're going to stay with number 2 because that's what we are, and that's what was in McGrail. So fiat. Y'all, if you study any great empire like we were, any superpower, the, what do we call it? The reserve currency, study the reserve currencies. You can pause it right now. Go and watch the Ray Dalio 30-minute situation on every reserve currency that's come before us, hundreds and hundreds of years of this research, where what happens to the reserve currency once it's taken off of the gold standard, it starts falling. The country starts failing, crumbling. And eventually either they're taken through some kind of war, but it's always some horrific squeeze that happens once that reserve currency falls. Fiat. That fiat money is what, like, I literally am running from. I'm literally running from it. It's burning a hole in my pocket. The property I have there, it's losing value. So fiat money, we're gonna go with that. Okay. So fiat money, we're gonna continue this one because this is really near and dear to my heart. Gracias. So that was my Uber driver. He was nice. I'm actually giving him a tip because his car smelled good. He drove nicely. Okay, I got money. I was about to say, where's my money at? He drove nicely, and I gotta get some change, so I'm gonna stay here for a second. But he drove nicely, and his car smelled good. Like, he actually he earned his tip today. So I'm just gonna finish up with the fiat money, and then I'm gonna go to my situation, and then we're gonna go to number one. We're gonna have to come back for number one. But yeah, the dollar is losing its value, which means even as an investor, it's pretty hard to keep up with the hidden tax. And when I say hidden tax, it's not hidden because it's hitting you every day. You see it every day. You feel it every day. It's hidden because the media keeps lying, and they keep telling you, oh, we got more jobs and inflation is down and this and that and that. And what they're not telling you is the hidden facts. They're hiding the facts from you. So they're just giving you like some fake ass numbers and hiding the truth that your dollar in your pocket, you're working for it, is losing value. Every time they print up money, all these hundreds, thousands, and billions of dollars they're printing up for these wars, we're paying for it. So fiat is number two. But I gotta get to my situation, and then we're about to go to number one. Hello. So I'm here. So this is the actual, when we got to Santiago, this was the first place that we landed. Here is Lavanderia. That's the first place I did my laundry. It was a total mess, but it happened. We're gonna go up. We're gonna go to 22 so we can finish this. I have to probably say one more thing about that fiat money. So not only is the dollar losing the value, but even the assets that you stored your money in, like say my cabin, right? So at the time that we bought our cabin, it was not as bad as the time it is now. We bought the cabin back in 2021, 21. I don't know if it was 21 or 22. But we bought the cabin, and at that time that we bought it, it was, the economy isn't in the situation that it's in right now. And we spent $40,000 on the cabin itself, and then we spent about $20,000 renovating the cabin. So now we got $60,000 into our investment. Now this is cash. This is not we borrowed this a loan. We ain't have to work for this. Nah, this is cold, hard cash, okay, that we spent to invest, that we invested into this property so that we could, I'm up here at this like King Sierra or something, so I'm gonna stick this right here. We're gonna do it like that. So yeah, we're like, we spent all this money, $60,000. Now, of course, y'all know me. I've been trying to get my husband to sell this cabin. Babe, let's go. Last year, babe, let's go. Let's put it on the market. Let's go. We gotta go. So now we got it on the market. I think we put it on the market maybe in April or May. Now, we have the most suckiest agent ever, okay? Kincho. I hope this air isn't picking up too much, but we got the suckiest agent ever. And he's been sucky from the beginning, but again, I told you, we are in the woods, so it's not too many people that's like, oh, where you located? Oh, yeah, I'll be there. No, they like, shit, where you at? Let's make an appointment. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to come out there Saturday. You know, we're gonna have to really coordinate this, because we are not just right up the road, and it's not like a lot of agents that will take us on. I never really had this problem, but anyway, that's what's going on. So the agent that we got, this motherfucker take forever updating the listing. I tell him to drop the price. It'd be 2-3 weeks later, this nigga still ain't dropped the price. Even now, he emailed me on like September 28th or something, right? It was a couple of days before our contract was going to expire, and I should have just said, nah, cancel that shit because you suck. But I'm all the way over here. I can't really go hire nobody else and give them nothing, right? And I didn't already sign like anyway. So I'm like, look, nah, go ahead, renew the contract, and I need this thing sold. Drop it down to like 88,000. It's at 95 now. I'm like, drop it down. We need this thing sold. Do you know it's like October? What is today? I don't know what the day is, because my calendar don't pull up on here no more. But it's like October 7th, 8th. You know, I go online. My house still say 95,000, and it's not just the price updates. I go on there. I'm looking. The pictures that he got up there is blurry. He ain't even got all the pictures I sent him up there. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to sell this thing. What are you trying to do? What are you aiming for? So anyway, my agent sucks ass. I'm not even gonna lie about that. But there's also something going on with the economy right now. So in a normal economy, this is a nice little spot. It would have been sold by now. It's not though. So what we're having to do is drop our price to the point where we might break even if we're lucky. And like I told my husband, even selling the house right now, even breaking even is losing, because $60,000 today ain't what $60,000 a couple years ago would do. So anyway, you know, the fiatness of our currency is number 2. And since we did that for number 2, maybe we'll go to the King Show number 2 for the number 1 reason. Maybe we can do this for the number 1 reason. I don't know. I don't really like that background. Here for the number 1 reason. And maybe I'll sit this one down. For the number 1 reason. Number 1 reason why I don't like this lighting. I'm sorry. Y'all know how I am. I'm a video girl. I mean, not like those video girls from Atlanta that just like be in all these random videos. I mean, like a video girl, meaning I care about the shot. You know how, you know, Erykah Badu, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. I'm sensitive about my shots. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that shower back there. But what I want to say is the number 1 reason why I had to leave the States was because I was losing myself. I was becoming a robot. I was becoming what I didn't want to become, and I wasn't able to be the wife, the mother, and my creative self that I long and yearn to be. It wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. So just to go into a little more detail now, when you look at it on, like, just say a success level, if that's what you want to call it, you got a property or 2. We got 5 acres. We were building a container home in an off-grid situation there. That was right before COVID hit. We got that spot. So we get that spot, COVID hits, and all shit hits the fan. You know, everything changes. Now we got to switch up our game plan, figure out how we gonna do this, how we gonna do that, how we're gonna make this stuff work, you know? So it's just been so many changes that we've been going through really since COVID, you know. But after COVID hit, we were able to, y'all got to watch the documentary. You'll see kind of what happened when COVID hit. But even as the live events and stuff started picking up, doing our hockey and doing the things that basically we were doing before, still working, but audio engineering. So we were able to get back to that. However, last year, 2023, on my birthday, we got into a car accident, and I also had an appointment scheduled. So by this time with hockey, I was no longer under contract. I was like salaried with them. So I was actually employed with them after like 10 years of contracting with them. So I'm like, this whole time, I already know the meeting is coming up on my birthday. And I'm like doing research because I've been doing contract work since fucking as far as I can remember. So I didn't know about, oh, you got a meeting a year after you've been with this job. You know, what are you supposed to say? How do you ask for a raise? How much do you ask for? So I'm like doing all this research. I'm like, okay, you're supposed to ask for at least 10-15% raise. And I'm like, I got all of this stuff prepared for how this conversation is gonna go. And we get in an accident, and a car accident. Somebody slams into the back of us, and then my job calls me for the scheduled meeting. And at this time, I'm in the police car, you know, giving the police report. Well, I had just given it, but I'm still sitting in the police in the car while he's like talking to the lady who hit us. So, you know, I get on the little Teams meeting, and I'm like, yeah, I've just been in an accident. You know, it's a bad timing, but we have this scheduled, so I'm here. And I'm already thinking, you know, I'm about to ask for this raise and stuff. And there's like this other person on the line that I never seen before, and I'm like, who the hell is Becky or whoever this is on the screen? And then he's, you know, the guy I've been dealing with these 10 years, he's like, hey, Michelle, you know, this is so-and-so. We got her on the line because basically the company has had to make some decisions, and he made it seem like, you know, it wasn't anything to do with my performance, but that the company had to make some decisions for financial reasons. Basically, they had robots. Like, we, at that point, when we came back from COVID, most of our games that we were doing were setting up robots. Like, we were setting up robotic cameras where we would usually be setting people up to film the games. They got these robotic cameras. So I think some robots took our position, honestly. But they didn't say it like that. It's just like, you know, for financial reasons, we're going to, like, give you this severance pay, and you're pretty much, like, not going back to work. And I'm like, oh, my God. But it's my birthday. Could y'all have, like, done this yesterday or tomorrow, maybe? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, but I've been dealing with you for 10 years. I mean, I'm not big on birthdays either, but goddamn. I mean, when y'all was firing me, y'all didn't just happen to see, like, oh, well, it's pretty close to her birthday. Let's at least, you know, have some motherfucking compassion. No. So anyway, so I told you we got in an accident. My husband injured his foot. You know, he was going through therapy for quite a while. So now we're like no income. What we've been doing for at least the past 10 years is gone. At least that portion of it. Now, we still had other little contracts, but that was like the big contract. Hockey was bien, okay? So, you know, that changed some things You know, that changed some dynamics. The fact that we were always together, working together, we weren't able to do that anymore. The conditions just weren't right. The jobs weren't there. The contracts wasn't there. And again, by this time, we're living in the woods. So, long story short, I had to basically take a position out in Chicago, Illinois. So that not only forced me to leave, because I had a contract in Chicago that was a very good contract, and I could not make that money where I was. And I needed to make that money because in my mind, I know that we need to get out of here. And granted, I could stay in my cabin and work maybe 30 or 40 minutes away, or even an hour away. However, it would not put me or my family in a position to get out of the country. Like, to get out of the country, you need thousands of dollars just for the plane tickets. If you got to prepare like yellow fever shots and all that, that was $1,000 just on yellow fever shots. You got luggage to buy. You don't want to like leave in a whole bunch of debts. You got to pay off your lights, and you got to start, you know, just like making amends and getting stuff together, and it costs money. So it was a huge sacrifice, but being like 7 hours away, Monday through Friday, driving to Chicago every week, sometimes twice a week, depending on what the situation was, driving back and forth to Chicago. And honestly, even as I was doing that, so just to give you a quick idea, just because I was driving out there doesn't mean I was making a whole bunch of money. I'm an insurance agent with a contract with Chicago Public Schools. So there were many times I would drive out there and do not much work, especially when I factor in my gas. So now I'm out here like, okay, I'm just spending money, spinning my wheels literally, and I gotta make this work. Gratefully, everything ended up working out, but it was a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of gas, a lot of miles, and a lot of Ubering. Like, not only would I leave the house, be away from my family, my kids, my husband needed me. You know, he was hurt, and I couldn't even physically be there, and he's dealing with a 1-year-old, you know, a baby basically, and a 5-year-old son who's like 5 kids in one, you know, with the energy that he has. It was a lot on him too. So I have to be able to like give you insight on both sides of how everyone is affected. So yeah, basically, like once I kind of got into the swing of that, going to Chicago, coming home, Ubering, getting stuck in ice storms, you know, I would drive 7 hours back from Chicago to get home, and then I might sit in an ice storm for another 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, because the expressway is shut down because of ice in Missouri. So it just, I feel like it put a lot of strain on our marriage, and it's not anyone's blame. It's just the way the cookie crumbled, just the way life turned out. But I would be naive to not be able to notice what's going on and how everyone is affected. So that's just how it is. Like, I just did not see a way out of my situation. I didn't see it really being good for my family on a whole. And even though there are or were alternatives for me not having to drive so far and, you know, just become this working, driving, Ubering, robot, insurance, selling, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not a mom anymore, and I'm not a wife anymore, and that's what I want to be. I love helping people, don't get me wrong, but what did I say at the beginning of this? Family is number one. I am not playing about that, not even a little bit. Poquito, pequeñas, none of that. Like, family is so important to me. I'm willing to let go of whatever. I don't care, monetary value. It don't matter to me. That's what I'm saying. With the people that got deported, there's no way that my husband gonna be deported and we not about to be over here deported with your ass. Like, it's just not, it's not fathomable for me. But that's just how I am. My husband might not feel the same. I ain't got nothing to do with that. All I'm saying is, this is how I am. This is how I am. And America would not allow me to be how I am. It would not allow me to be the loving mother and wife that I really am. Spend time with my kids, cook and clean and make sure this is done. Like, that's the stuff I love to do. You know? So, and that's what I live for. I want my kids to feel good and be good and get the right upbringing and just the right stuff. And I know that they can only really get that from mom and dad. So, and we pretty much need to be present. Now, if we need to take y'all with us, if we got to do a little work here and there, like, I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that. But for the most part, I'm not trying to be away from my family for weeks at a time, 5 and 7 days out the week, because I'm out Ubering to keep the lights on and to do all of this stuff. So that's my number one reason. That's my number one reason. America was killing me, physically, emotionally, everything about me and my natural being. I stopped eating. I've lost my breath, my butt, my everything, my teeth. It's just eating me alive, trying to survive in America. And that's not what I wanted for however many years I got left, because honestly, it's not me. You look at the statistics, we got shorter lifespans in America. It's not increasing, it's decreasing. So the more stress and anxiousness and all this stuff that you under, you putting stress on yourself. And the older you get, the less stress that you're able to really accept without croaking and stroking and shit. And that's what I didn't want for me. I couldn't have that. I said, no, I need at least a chance to live the rest of my life. I don't want y'all to just take all of me and have me out here just, you know, I'm spending money and making Uber rides and what's those things when you can make the baggage thing, so my husband go pick up the groceries. He ain't got to walk around with both the kids, you know, with a surgery on his foot. I mean, just I guess it was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, was me not being able to be the capacity of me. I'm good for more than just running around Chicago signing people up with insurance. Great, I love doing it, but not first. That's all I'm saying. And if I can't do both, then I'd rather just have my family. That's it. I need my family. I need my family. There's no reason for me to be in Chicago if I don't have a family. So that's number one. But I came here for a reason, so I gotta get to it. But just so y'all see, we out here. We out here. Now it ain't all, you know, whatever. Like I said, every place got its stuff. Every place has its things, you know, that you got to get used to and adapt to and all of that. But for the most part, I feel good here. I feel free. It's food on every corner. It's not expensive. It looks good. It looks fresh. The people that we've connected with have been absolute godsends. I mean, so helpful, so resourceful. It's just all love. So I don't regret it, and I just really encourage people that you need to be the change that you want to see. Don't sit somewhere and be like, oh, well, this just need to change around me. No, because 9 times out of 10, it's not. And if it does change, it's going down. It's not going to be for the better. So I just want to encourage people, if you're fed up, if you're ready, you know, like, start planning and start executing. Don't just plan, execute. Execute. And you need to find your whys. It ain't got to be 5 reasons. It could be just one good one. But find your whys and be wise, make wise decisions, and be peaceful and love each other.
No more this puss and throttle down.